Approved.
The announcement of Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay packet at Tesla. It sounded like the announcement of who won a boxing match. Musk celebrated on stage, dancing alongside a robot. But will his hugely increased salary make his work more meaningful? Will he work harder? Will he be more productive for $1 trillion rather than maybe $1 billion, let's just say? How much money does it take to make you work? I'm joined now by Padraig Walsh, chartered behavioural psychologist and CEO of changeable.ie. Padraig, you're very welcome to the programme. Does money make you happy? Discuss.
It's a question. Wouldn't we all love a robot dancing beside us when we got a salary raise? So this has been the million, if not $1 trillion question. It has been studied by psychologists. You take the study by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton in 2010. They looked at this, and you might have heard this research. It got into the popular domain very quickly. It was that up to about $75,000 per year, they found that happiness increased with money, with your salary. But then after that, it started to plateau, that they noticed that there was a plateau. And, after that, was money really that rewarding? Did it increase your emotional well-being? They didn't find that. Subsequent to that, in 2021, the researcher Matthew Killingsworth looked at this and said, hold on a second here, my data is showing me something different. So in a very unusual twist, which you see in modern day where polarization happens, these guys decided to come together and say, let's have a gander at this together. So they took all the research synthesis together and pulled out a more nuanced view of this. That in fact, you can see for certain people who are predisposed to happiness, who have good relationships, who are engaged in their work, you actually see money does increase their happiness beyond that $75,000.
Is there evidence to say that you will work harder? Yeah. If you are going to make more money as a result of it? Now, if that's not true, then you'd call into question the whole bonus scheme that exists for people in terms of performances. But is that the case?
So we have to look at human motivation. And in terms of human motivation, we have intrinsic and extrinsic. But the worry with financial reward is that you could be subjecting somebody to motivational crowding. So somebody might be intrinsically motivated, they might see meaning in their work, they might be engaged. But if you use money as the motivational tool, you could start to take that intrinsic motivation and make it something extrinsic, which can lead to difficulties further down the line.
The question then is, if money isn't the ultimate motivator, what is?
Yeah, this has been examined by researchers like Matthew Seligman, who's the kind of professor of happiness. And he will say that if we have engagement, if we find meaning in our work, if there is real positive connections, if we see the bigger picture around that, that's the way to manage somebody rather than focusing solely. Now, I'm not saying to leave out money, but without solely focusing on financial gain.
When we talk about people who are very wealthy, it might be inherited. It might be an entrepreneur who built up a business from scratch, or it might be somebody who gets very, very well paid for trading on Wall Street or whatever it is. Certainly, the entrepreneur types who set up companies themselves, it is about making money. They want to build something successful and they do want to make money. But somehow, when they reach a certain level of wealth, yes, increasing the value of their wealth matters, but it's more like keeping a score. Not even keeping score against others, keeping score against themselves.
Exactly. And it's more about status. What you're seeing here with Elon Musk is not about what the money can buy. I think I worked it out that if he was to spend $1 million a day, it would take him 2,739 years. If he were to spend that on tubs of curry, he could stretch around the earth 500 times. It is not about the value of the money. This is about the status and the score that is there. So if he's motivated by that competitive nature, which a lot of CEOs are, that's feeding into a different psychology than what you and I would be talking about in terms of financial survival, financial stability, financial security. And that's where we find the disconnect, that money, for some people, the multi-billionaires, it is keeping the score, it is competitive, it is status-based. But for lots of us, we actually see money as something functional that will provide for ourselves and for our families.
Well, of course, it depends on how many cars you have or how big is the yacht and all that can be measured. But it is worth saying that the $1 trillion pay packet, so-called, is very unlikely to come about. And it also comes at a time which grabs a lot of headlines when they want to reinforce Elon Musk's commitment to the company, because there had been a lot of criticism of him spending too much time at Doge and things like that. But it's an interesting story. Padraig Walsh, chartered behavioural psychologist and CEO of changeable.ie. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Are you a plumber?